Breast implant bombs. Is this the new terror threat? Well, Heathrow Airport's on high alert, and the lines to get through the airport are longer than ever, and they say they're absolutely sure there's evidence that Al-Qaeda could go after flights with implanted breast bombs, or they could be in the derriere or other parts of the body. So now the body itself is a suspected cavity for terrorist activity. How an explosive in such a small area would even be enough to do serious damage, I don't know, but the fear is what could be incapacitating.
And let's just be honest, the TSA has never caught anything. They've never caught a terrorist. They've never caught one. So for them to sit here and do all of this, what are they going to expect you to do next? Show up at the airport naked? They're going to have to feel every part of your body, because any part of your body you could have sewn a device or you could have whatever. I mean, at some point we're just all going to have to go there completely stripped down nude and have someone violate us in every disgusting way possible just so that we can get on an airplane? Okay, there's a very statistically low risk that you're going to get on a plane with a terrorist that's going to blow up your plane. But you know what there's a higher risk of? That you, your mother, your sister, your wife, your children are going to be felt up by a pedophile, because there are tons of these cases coming out of these workers at the TSA. They haven't caught a terrorist, but you're going to go there and you have a much higher chance of being felt up by a disgusting pedophile and your kids being subjected to that than you do of being on a plane with a terrorist.
They want more power out of it. They want to keep people afraid.
Exactly. This is disgusting. This is just justifying sexual assault. But hey, there may be breast implant bombs, so let's all have an excuse for everybody who works at the airport to stare you down and look all at your chest and feel you up. It's disgusting.
Yeah, let's try to get liberty by giving government more power.
Yes, they have never caught a terrorist. They've never done anything effective, but they have cost billions of dollars.
Trillions maybe. I don't know if it's that high, but...
And they're also employing pedophiles, and they know that's a fact. They're also been caught 200 times for theft.
Absolutely. Sleeping on the job.
Yeah, so you can trust these guys?
Well, you know, they are the Homeland Security.
It's Homeland Insecurity. You're tuned into Radio Free Canada. Now check this out.
New concerns that your next trip on public transit systems could take a whole lot longer, as we learn that the TSA plans to bring their popular security tactics to a public transit station near you. What does this mean, Trace?
Well, TSA actually calls this the Viper Team, Alley, which stands for Visible Intermodal Prevention and Response. And they actually created this team after the 2004 Madrid train bombings. The team includes explosive experts, behavioral detection officers, and canine handlers. And the focus is mostly on securing trains and subways. But as you watch this video, you can see they're now expanding into sporting events, rodeos, music festivals. The government says that the Viper teams are needed to guard against terror, but civil rights groups say this amounts to more warrantless searches with no probable cause. The Electronic Privacy Information Center says, quoting here, the problem with TSA stopping and searching people in public places outside the airport is that there are no real legal standards or probable cause. It's something that is easily abused. Critics wonder if shopping malls and movie theaters might be next. The feds say if you don't want to be searched, you don't have to ride the train or attend the events. Keep in mind, we don't believe that these Viper teams are made up of any of the TSA agents at the airports. You know, the ones recently busted for stealing from passengers and circumventing the security checkpoints and sleeping on the job. Those people apparently will still remain at the airport. So be confident in that. The rest of these Viper teams will be out and about around the country.
Yes, if you don't like the police state, you can stay at home and forget about freedom or feeling secure.
Yeah, you know, I think fear is a great control device.
I don't think I would tolerate stop and frisk for a minute. Talking to a guy last night getting back from New York, it's reality, okay? They violate your constitutional rights all the time. They call it the land of the free, but it just ain't so.
Speaking of constitutional rights...
Wait. I'm Darren Howard.
Oh, I'm Robert Nisbet.
Okay, so we forgot that part. This is not corporate radio, so if you were expecting us to schlock off all of that propaganda and nonsense you're used to listening to, don't tune in to us. We're going to talk about the real situation of Homeland Insecurity. What do you got, brother?
Well, we got another story from the home of the brave.
Yeah. Okay. Irony segment. Okay, here we go.
If you're in the United States right now, or have ever been in the United States, chances are you've been in a constitution-free zone where the Fourth Amendment does not apply. DHS watchdog okays suspicionless seizure of electronic devices along border. And look at this part. It says, has concluded that travelers along the nation's borders may have their electronics seized and the contents of those devices examined for any reason whatsoever, all in the name of national security. So, yeah, the DHS reviewed itself to determine if itself was acting inappropriately against the Constitution. That seems a little not exactly legal to review yourself. But, you know, when you write the laws, it doesn't matter at all. But once again, 197 million people now in the Constitution-free zone. The mainstream media, though, is too busy reporting on garbage right now, like phony terrorist threats and everything like that, to actually address this. They never would anyway. You know, this has been going on for about 5 years now, since 2008. So this is a massive piece of information that's still happening, still going on. The media ignores it, and unfortunately, no one's really even taking action against it. I mean, the ACLU is suing, they say, but I don't really hear any updates on that. And it's amazing the DHS has literally declared itself to be above the Constitution. So that means, sure, they're going after your Fourth Amendment now, but if they're above the Constitution, they could go after the First and Second, and no one will blink an eye, apparently, because they have declared themselves above the Constitution. I'm Anthony Gucciardi, and let's focus on real news for a change.
So the Constitution-free zone.
You know, they hold out their Constitution as their ultimate moral justification in the world, and it's being shredded.
It totally shredded. I mean, I wish that judge was still back on Fox talking about it, but they axed him as soon as he pointed out the fact that you don't have any constitutional rights anymore at all.
And if you mention that, you're a terrorist.
Yeah, I know. So you start pointing out the fact that maybe they at one time had a constitution. They certainly do not anymore, but they call themselves the home of the brave and the free and
all that garbage.
Yeah, I know. Golf clap for those guys. The NSA... Well, we've been freely mocking them.
Well, of course. And they've been trying to hide because of all the Syria stuff that's going on. They've kind of dropped off the radar, but we're still paying attention.
Here's a couple clips. You make up your own mind.
German newspaper Der Spiegel reports the NSA hacked into the United Nations New York headquarters. According to the report, which is based on files leaked to the newspaper by NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden, the NSA broke the encryption of the UN's video conferencing network last summer and began collecting internal communications. The report says the NSA also bugged more than 80 embassies and consulates as part of a program called the Special Collection Service. The leaked documents indicate this initiative is intensive and well organized and has little or nothing to do with warding off terrorists. But one analyst told RT such behavior is nothing new and isn't specific to the US either. All major powers dispose of large systems of cyber spying and they use it against each other. What is more worrisome is the use of these kinds of techniques and technologies by smaller groups, especially non-state groups. A writer for The Atlantic agrees. But we already know to an extent that everyone is spying on everyone at all times, even at G20 summits, so it shouldn't come as too much of a surprise. Spying on the UN is illegal under various international treaties. So far, the international body has not made an official comment on the report. For Newsy, I'm Zach Toombs.
New documents leaked by Edward Snowden revealing the NSA targeted at least 2 world leaders. NBC's Keir Simmons is in Moscow this morning with details. Keir, good morning.
The revelations continue. The journalist who worked with Edward Snowden, Glenn Greenwald, on those NSA leaked documents, says now that the documents reveal that the NSA spied on the presidents of both Mexico and Brazil. He says that Enrique Ñeñete's emails, personal emails, were accessed back in June 2012, and from those emails, he says the US discovered what cabinet members he was considering. It was a month before his election as president. Meanwhile, he says that the US spied on the president of Brazil using a program that looked at what web traffic she was looking at. So, as I say, even though Edward Snowden hasn't been speaking, the fallout from what he did continues, Willie.
So they write things off. They say, oh, well, you shouldn't be surprised, or...
But it's illegal.
Hey,
it's illegal.
You see, it's against the law, and then they say, well, this is what we do all the time. So you're messed in the head all the time.
Yeah, you're continually breaking the law?
I mean, grow up, okay? The Snowden thing caused them to change things a bit, though, eh?
Just a little bit.
Okay, check it out.
Army General Keith Alexander recently announced that the NSA will fire 90% of its system administrators in order to reduce the number of people with access to classified information. Most of them are contractors. But again, Edward Snowden's leaks had nothing to do with it except to speed up the application date. Instead, we've put people in the loop of transferring data, securing networks, and doing things that machines are probably better at doing. The intent of what we're now doing is to come up with ways that limit what people can take, what data they have, and how we can monitor that. Straight from the mouth of Keith Alexander. Right now, there are currently 1,000 system administrators who help run the agency's network. The end result will be a, quote, more defensible and secure agency.
So they're going to put computers in charge where Snowden's were.
Oh, that should work.
What could possibly go wrong? I mean, seriously.
What about Skynet?
I'm invoking the Skynet clause right now. I'm Darren Howard.
And I'm Robert Nisbet.
Make sure you check all of our facts and get on the internet. Remember, more people are turning to the internet for their news and international news than tune into all the major networks combined. That's why we're here. We've got the Municipal Sustainability Project coming up here and some great documentaries, too.
Absolutely. We're going to be talking about September 11th anniversary as well as freeloaders.
So that's all coming up. Please stay tuned. We got more to come. This is Radio Free Canada.
One of America's biggest secrets is how it spends its money on intelligence. But today, the secret is out. The Washington Post obtained a copy of the so-called black budget, which was leaked by the fugitive former NSA computer technician Edward Snowden. It shows that the budget in its entirety tops $52 billion a year, with the biggest share, more than $14 billion, going to the CIA. Our John Miller is a former Assistant Deputy Director of National Intelligence. John, what did you find in terms of surprises in the budget?
It was full of tantalizing facts, some of which I knew because I used to go through this budget. But I think if you were going to pull out the special moments, one, there's the irony, which is that the NSA had a budget justification in there to look at 4,000 intelligence officers who they felt might be the insider threat. In other words, a potential security risk who might, I don't know, leak a document like Edward Snowden. So they certainly seem to have a point there. Two, that the NSA and CIA were working on a large program jointly together about offensive cyber attacks against our adversaries, since we hear a lot of discussion about cyber attacks against us. And third, and probably most important, the intelligence gaps. In the budget, they list their gaps. They talk about the difficulty of targeting certain elements of Russia, of China, but they say the most opaque nation, the most difficult to penetrate in terms of both their nuclear program and the politics, was North Korea.
MaxiPad commercials. My, how far they've evolved.
Four-wall protection. Superior protection against leaks.
But never ceasing to make men feel uncomfortable. Our story begins almost a week ago when an individual named Richard posted a lengthy rant on the Facebook wall of a British company that makes maxi pads. He accused Bodyform of deceiving the public with their advertisements into thinking that menstruation can be a joyous, adventurous time, and said that once he got a girlfriend, he found out this was not the case. This post quickly went viral and now has over 84,000 likes on Facebook. Bodyform then replied in kind with a cheeky video response that directly addresses Richard.
What you've seen in our advertisements so far isn't a factual representation of events. You're right. The flagrant use of visualization such as skydiving, rollerblading and mountain biking, you forgot horse riding, Richard, are actually metaphors.
It did get graphic.
In the 1980s, we ran a series of focus groups to help us gauge the public's reaction to periods. The cramps, the mood swings, the insatiable hunger. And yes, Richard, the blood coursing from our uteri like a crimson landslide.
Richard wrote back and said he did get a chuckle from it. But of course this whole thing could be a marketing ploy, including Richard's entire existence. Honey Boo Boo Child, impervious to morning show malarkey. Just watch how she responds to these KTLA anchors when they try to earn street cred by telling her they have the connect with iCarly.